Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go.
So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong.
Well, welcome all my friends to the show that really wished it was a day later last week. We had some exciting things to talk about. Scott, how are you doing today?
Yeah, and a day earlier this week, day later last week would have been nice.
That trade deadline was good to the Astros. I feel like we'll talk about that a little bit more. Just like Miami has been good to the Astros. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But it does lead me to my starting question here, Scott, and I'm going to take the lead on this one if that's okay. What are some of your favorite slump-busting superstitions, or what are some of your favorite sports superstitions that you've seen out there that you have personally?
Well, the personal one is that my team seem to do better when I don't watch, which is kind of unfortunate. It kind of gets me to follow the game on the At-Bat app, maybe on the radio, and, sit there and invested all that money in Fubo and then, discovered, hey, they don't do so well.
I appreciate that, by the way.
They'll do so well whenever I'm watching, particularly whenever it's on a different network, like Apple TV is just.
We never play well on the other networks.
Yeah.
What was the one where they had it was like a YouTube game where CJ got a trophy, Christian Javier got a trophy for being the YouTube player of the game?
Well, the worst one was the Apple TV where it was like, do we keep talking to Jeremy Pena's dad or do we show his first home run of his career live? What do we do? Let's just keep talking to Dad.
Dad's here. Yeah, there was some bad ones. No, I definitely get that. My wife's real big on stay seating where you're sitting, no moving around. I'm big on food, right? If I cooked a food and that food won, while I ate that food for dinner, especially during the playoffs, if I made something for the first round of the playoffs for the Texans, I need to make that same thing in round 2.
Yeah, one of the things we used to do is we used to just kind of lift up our cats and a small dog and kind of do a chant. And then I would kind of stroke the cat a number of times and kind of whisper in the ear what I would want to happen next. And sometimes it works. Usually if I had a male cat, it was good for defense, and a female cat was good for offense. So you kind of have to do that trade-off.
What about the golf course? You got anything superstitious you got to do when you play?
Whenever I bring cigars, I always light it up after the 3rd hole.
Okay.
Without fail.
Not bad. I got a few. I have to take a shit before I tee off. It didn't have to be immediately, but I cannot go out to the golf course without having dumped that day. That's not it's not a good. It has to work. And then this one, if I'm playing well and I have to pee, I can't. Sorry, I got to keep all the goodness in. Right, great example. I was playing with my dad on Sunday, and I was 1 over through 13 holes, and then I peed, and I made back-to-back bogeys, and I shot 3 over. And so I was making some crazy up and down pars on a day I didn't have my best, but once I peed, I lost it immediately.
Well, don't have that accident like you had with that one kid that you played with.
So I didn't have a fucking accident. Okay, let's make that very clear. The gentleman, probably now 35-year-old. I wish I remember his name, but not that I put him on blast. I think he was like from Dickinson. It was somewhere that didn't give you ready gear. No. Oh God, no. I'll never forget that because I still don't understand. Why do you just whip it out, man? Like, we're on a golf course. There's grass everywhere. It is a men's golf tournament, so no one's really going to care that much. I've seen, not to get too personal, like, I've seen 2 of the 3 guys I played with wangs on accident because, like, they don't know how to stand on a tree properly, right? Like, we've all seen some sausage on the golf course. It's not the end of the world, but pissing yourself on the 17th hole is the end of the world.
Well, I would say actually shitting yourself would probably be worse.
Shitting yourself would definitely be worse. Yeah, you're right. I'll give you that one. But so then, but either way, this kid had to ride the T-bus back to Dickinson or something like that in his pee pants. But that's why I gave him my rain pants. So I was just like, you can have those, man. Like, I don't want you to sit and piss. Like, I don't know.
All right, Tim. On that note,
and I sat in my pee pants all day. And fucking Ricky Bobby. I'm still in my pee pants right now. I came on this podcast last week begging, pleading, hoping Dana Brown would feel how bad I wanted it. And he did, Scott. He felt in my goddamn fucking plums how bad I wanted to put my Carlos Correa jersey on again and not have it be he's retired and I can wear it again. No, I get to wear it again as an active fucking player, as Carlos Correa is back and electrified. He's playing well.
Well, and it really, we can talk about Dana Brown, but this was a Jim Crane deal. 100%. Because, basically what I read, Minnesota's ownership is $400 million in debt. So they traded 10 guys. Could you imagine 10 guys gone from a major league roster?
Yeah, that's insane. They have 3 guys that are on payroll past next year.
Yeah, Byron Buxton is shit, man. That guy, he's got to be holding the bat going I got this.
It's that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meme where he's standing in the living room alone by himself. Where'd everybody go?
But now, so basically what happened was the Astros tried earlier in the day just to totally get over on Minnesota because they knew they were in a bad way. And so they sat there and said, okay, you're going to have to pay 50% of his contract and give us an outfielder. And Minnesota's like, fuck that. No, we're not doing that. And so Jim Crane's like, okay, let me call Carl Pohlad. Let me call ownership. We'll get this figured out. So it ends up being $33 million taken off the price tag. So if you want to look at the trade, I'll look at it this way because the prospect we trade is basically nothing. So 3 years beyond this season, $70 million for 3 years. So would you pay that for Carlos Correa if he's a free agent?
Very much so.
Or if all of the option years come true, this is the one that kills me. If all the option years become true, it becomes a 7-year, $140 million contract. If all the options. Now, obviously, the Astros, each option is a year to itself. So the Astros can get out at any time between years 3 and 7. But let's be optimistic. Let's say he goes all 7 years. And to me, if Carlos Correa goes all 7 years and he's healthy, he's a Hall of Famer. So,
I was worried he was off the track for that when he went to, his number's been down in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
When he left Houston, you can be a hater and talk about 2017 and all the other shit, but you can't deny the fact that Carlos Correa was playing at a Hall of Fame level at that point. He has taken a dip a bit, but I truly believe he and Altuve being able to finish their careers together is a real big thing for them. I think they feed off of each other. Altuve's found a way to keep going, but I don't think Correa was the same player once he left. It's obvious, but he's like automatically just puts that fucking jersey back on and he starts smashing. Like he hit a bomb over the Green Monster. He's playing the same level of defense. He's talked about how much better his feet feel after a game at third base versus playing shortstop, right? He told Joe Spada after his first game at third, he's like, it feels like I didn't even play yesterday, like compared to how I feel after I play a game at shortstop. So, Carlos is very media savvy, so I wouldn't be surprised if, he's obviously playing it up a little bit, but at the same time, he's wanted to move to third for a while. I think this is what his career needs to keep him healthy. He's had, lower body issues for a long time. He trains with Jeremy Pena, right? Like he knows there's a great Gold Glove quality guy next to me. I can move over here. More than anything, this spells trouble for Christian Walker in the future. But at the end of the day, for 2025, this team got better. You gave up next to nothing to do it. You somehow found a way to do all this and still maintain a salary below the CBT. I don't understand the fucking math on that, but hey, whatever. Like, cool. And also, like, this is basically the money that you offered Carlos Correa that he said no thank you to, right? Like, when you look at what's being covered from Minnesota's standpoint versus what the Astros are paying, you're essentially paying what you offered 4 years ago, right? So you were willing to pay Carlos Correa $26 million a year back in 2021, and essentially you get Carlos Correa for like $24 million a year. So why wouldn't you want that?
Well, and the beauty is that, he wanted that mega 10-year contract, right? But this is perfect for the Astros perspective, because if he is playing at a Hall of Fame level, you get him for 7 years. If he's playing at a reduced level, you get him for 3. So, I mean, and you could get him for 4, you can get him for 5, you can get him for 6. So the ball really is in the Astros' court. And when I say if he's healthy for 7 years, that's a big if, given what we've seen from him the last few years. Because I believe that he's going to be healthier at third base than at short, but that doesn't guarantee that he's going to be healthy. We know that for a fact. I think he's going to be rejuvenated this year, though. Just, can you imagine going to the ballpark every day and realizing that your team doesn't give a shit about winning? I mean, that's got to be brutal for him. And sit there and listen to his comments. Well, we kept waiting for a shortstop to be developed, and just one never got developed, so I kept playing shortstop. I mean, you mentioned a topic that's going to happen in the offseason, which we can get to in a minute. But I think in the meantime, talk about energizing the fan base. And somehow Brendan Rodgers gave up his jersey number.
Probably because if he didn't, they would have just cut him right then and there. I have to think, like, if he said no, the next call would have been from Dana Brown saying, hey, go ahead and pack your shit.
I came into the club and I didn't have a locker. My locker's gone. And I didn't get my check last week. I didn't get my check. And Urias got the last sandwich at the buffet. I didn't have anything at the buffet. And if I don't get that, I'm going to burn down the ballpark.
I mean, that's basically where we're at, right? Like, Brendan Rodgers is in, like, rookie camp in Florida and has been for 2 months, and that's fine. Like, whatever. Make your money.
He was in AAA for 1 day.
That's fine. That's true. Just I don't want him to come back. I don't need. There's no room. There's no room in this end, right? Like, Arias is better, hands down. He's a better ball player. I'm sorry. Like, your defense, Brendan Rodgers, was nowhere near the year you want to Gold Glove, and your offense is fucking garbage. So I don't have room for you anymore. Somehow, some way, Cooper Hummel is a better offensive player at this point in his career than you are. So not giving up that number would have been, I got to think, the end of your time with the Astros.
Well,
right? Immediately fucking cut.
He's already gone. I mean, they're just going to let him. They're just going to hold on to him for the rest of the year, just to do him a solid. But all right, so obviously you brought up the elephant in the room. So we look to 2026. I think we can confidently say that Urias and Dubon are going to be back to more of a bench kind of role. So the question then becomes, what do you do at second base? And what do you do at first base and left field? Because you've got Jesus Sanchez, who we did not mention. I wrote an article about them picking
He's
him up
fantastic.
earlier in the year, and we have to be very clear about who Jesus Sanchez is. He is unplayable against lefties. I think his average is like 120 against lefties this year. So he is one of those where you got to have a good fourth outfielder, because if they bring in a lefty against him, you're pinch hitting for Jesus Sanchez in that instance. But you have him playing most of the time in left. You have Yordan DHing, we presume. You got Cam Smith in right. You've got, we presume, Jake Myers in center. So that leaves you Paredes, Altuve, and Walker for two positions.
And Altuve's probably going to be one of them.
Oh, yeah. You go, no, you're not treating Altuve.
So at that point, if you told me I have to pick between Paredes and Christian Walker, I'm picking Paredes. From what we saw from both those guys when they both played, Paredes was the better offensive player. I will say, though, like, Christian Walker has been what was advertised, right? Like, I think it's time to acknowledge, like, we got what we paid for with Christian Walker. Like, we paid the market price for a guy who gets on base, who hits home runs at a good clip, but doesn't, like, hit for a high average. That's been Christian Walker's entire career. He's a 240-ish hitter. He's sitting around 240 right now. He's going to hit 25 to 30 homers probably and drive in 85, 90 runs. Like, the only thing you can really complain about is maybe the defense is down a little bit, but other than a slow start, like, what can you really say about Christian Walker that he hasn't provided this team?
Well, the funny thing about Walker is that, I want to compare two guys. Have you seen what's happened with Paul Goldschmidt this year?
I mean, what do you say by what's happened with him?
So he started off April and May hitting like 350 and, a few home runs, a little bit lower than his career norm, right? But what's happened to him since is he is just completely gone in the tank. I mean, he's hitting about 260. He's hitting about 260. He's got 9 home runs, which, for a first
they're hitting him a leadoff at one point.
Yeah, and so he still walks occasionally, and so to me, when you're looking at a Walker, you're looking at a guy, he's probably a little bit underneath what you would want. I think if you're looking at an OPS, you want Walker somewhere between 750 and 800. And right now he's sitting at about 700. However, if he keeps hitting like he hit in the month of July, if he continues to hit in August like he hit in July, he might finish the year at about a 750 OPS. And then you look up and here he has 24, 25. I don't know if he's going to get to 30 home runs. I think that's a little bit much. I think he's sitting at 16 right now?
I thought he was closer to 20.
Look
it up.
Because I think Altuve is close to 20.
Altuve had 20 today, I thought.
He had 19.
It was 19. Okay, 19 today.
And so he's hitting, I think, he's at 15 or 16, I think. So let's say he gets to if he gets to 750 OPS, maybe let's say 24 home runs. Okay, is that really worse than what you would expect from Christian Walker?
Nope. I mean, he's a career 248 hitter with a career 780 OPS. So, I mean, right now he's at 688, but you're right. If you take out the month of April, he's much more in line with what you'd expect to see. I mean, the last 30 games, his OPS, I mean, I got to do math on this because it's not broken out, but 388 on base, 338 on base, and 466 slug. So almost
800.
More than 800, but 802, something like that, 804.
Well, and so the dilemma with him is, so let's say he finishes the year at a 750 OPS. that makes him probably easier to deal in the offseason. However, that makes it to where you're like, geez, do we really want to deal this guy? I mean, he looks pretty good. If he continues to scuffle, you're going to want to deal him more. But if you're another team, do I want a first baseman who's making $20 million a year for 2 more years, who can't get more than a 700 OPS?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe it's unfortunately Paredes might be the one that gets traded simply because he's controllable, he's cheaper, and he's more flexible.
Yeah, but that's the killer of trading him to me.
I don't want to trade him.
Is he a better hitter than Walker? I think over a full season, probably not in most years. However, like if you look at if their careers, they're both high 700s OPS wise.
But also there are different points of their careers too.
Right. But the biggest thing for me is you're talking about a guy that can play third, second, and first versus a guy that can play first. If you're looking at a team where you want to interchange guys, because let's say the worst happens. Carlos Correa has a back problem. His wife gave him a massage and shit, he's out for 2 months. Who do you want playing third during that instance?
No, you're right. I don't want to lose a Paredes, right? Like I also think this is a guy who figured something out in the last 2 seasons, right? Because before he was traded to the Cubs, he was having a career year in Tampa Bay. And quite frankly, the Cubs ballpark's not really a great fit for him with the way the wind swirls and blows. So even a lot of the balls that he hit would have been, nice play, nice hits in Houston. Some even homers are just outs in Chicago when the wind starts blowing. So he gets to Houston and again continues to have probably the best season of his career to this point. So I think he's found something. I think he's controllable. He's cheap. He's flexible. I'd like to keep him as long as possible, as long as the Astros training staff doesn't fuck him up, as he is avoiding surgery and going through PCP treatment and all that stuff. But that's a conversation for another day. I want to keep talking about the trade deadline just a little bit because we've talked about Correa and the ramifications. We've mentioned Jesus Sanchez, which I think is a phenomenal pickup. I think that one kind of flew under the radar because of the Correa move, but they happened so simultaneously. Like, look at the Astros. Look at the moves that they made. You brought in a superstar in Carlos Correa, or at least a star. I think he's a superstar. A everyday left fielder, or 4 out of 5 days if you want, if a staff's got a lefty, as you said. A pretty darn good utility player in Arias, and you gave up nothing. Bryce Matthews is still an Astro. Like we talked about, if you want to get Correa, you probably got to say goodbye to Matthews if you want them to pay some money. But we just forgot how bad dead hurts, I guess.
Well, Melton, you keep Melton, right? And I think the only disappointment, if you're going to be disappointed in the deadline, is not bringing in an arm. Mm-hmm. But looking at the price for Dylan Cease was Spencer Arrighetti and 3 minor leaguers
for rental.
Yeah, that's a no. And Dylan Cease didn't want to come here. So on top of all of that, my main disappointment is that I think we could have gotten our hands on a fairly good relief pitcher, and we didn't. Like I think we could have. I think we could have gotten Phil Maton. I think we could have gotten that level of a pitcher, and I think what we've seen from Brian King in the last 2 weeks demonstrates that, oh God, we need a 7th inning guy badly.
I think it's going to end up being Ryan Presley again. I really do. I know he's not the same guy that he was when he was closing games out, but I still think he knows how to spin it better than a lot of people, especially with this breaking stuff. And pitched his best baseball of his career in Houston. He's going through the DFA process.
He's
I
already
would
been
be
released.
shocked.
He's already been released. He's available.
We've contacted him. I know we have. I saw that article. I'd be shocked if he doesn't end up here. I think he's maybe a little butthurt over how things ended, but I would be absolutely shocked if Ryan Presley's not an Astro again.
And I think really for him, what he's kind of looking at, and I think what he's going to discover is, dude, no team is making you their closer. That's just not going to happen. I think he's waiting around to say, like, hey, maybe I could, like, catch on with the Rockies or something as a no, that's not happening. So accept your seventh inning role. Right now, I would rather have Ryan Presley pitching the seventh inning than anybody else in that bullpen, considering Abreu and Hader are entrenched in the eighth inning.
Yeah, I don't think we have a true seventh inning guy. We definitely don't. It's a matchup based thing. Neris has been okay. He's not been great, but Hector Neris likes to start shit. Like 2 years ago he started some. I can't remember who it was, but he benches clearing brawl after getting somebody out, and he does it again with the pitch coach over like tipping pitches and all that. I don't know.
Did you see what he did in Boston?
We dropped the ball on purpose and then started a fight. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, but the whole thing was the guy was stealing his signs based on his grip on the ball,
which I'm fine with. Like, it's all okay, but why are we starting a fight with the third base coach over that? Like, hey, you were tipping. Like, that's part of the game. Like, we have all teams can't get mad at another team if we get caught tipping pitches. Like, period. Like, that's part of the game.
On the same token, though, is that the announcers for Boston were just, complete assholes. We can get to that.
That'd be discussed. I was saying that'd be discussed. TBD.
A little bit later. A little bit later,
we'll talk about that. But let's talk about some slump busting, okay? Because the Astros went down in Miami in a bad way. Okay, it was worse than Ron and Sammy's relationship after the note was revealed on Jersey Shore, Miami. Okay, it was bad. The Astros offense has been putrid. But somehow here in Miami, the Rays have hit the Astros skin, a little bit of that sea breeze, whatever it is. Things are going well for the Bats right now.
Well, and what kills me is that the Marlins have been playing really good baseball. I don't know if you saw this. They were at 1.16 games below 500. And that's kind of a key number because, remember what was our record in 2005?
I think it was 16.
We were 15-30.
Yeah.
15 under. So only one team in Major League history has been 16 games under 500 and made it to the postseason that year. And that was the 1914 Braves, who were in last place on the 4th of July and ended up winning the National League pennant and the World Series, I might add. I don't think the Marlins are going to the playoffs, obviously. But this is a team that's been playing really good baseball. And we just, bitch slapped them for 2 games with – who are our pitchers, Tim, these 2 games?
Today was Stephen O'Kurt, and yesterday was Jason Alexander, a.k.a. George Costanza.
Yeah, and A.J. Blubaugh for most of the game today.
True.
So, I mean – and then
you start him. Why do that to the young man?
I think they mentioned on the radio those because that they have a lefty heavy lineup on top. So They thought Kurt could get through like a clean inning,
Yeah, he did not.
He did not, but they thought he could, what the hell. But my thing is that if you go into a series, Tim, and you look at your 3 starters and you're seeing effectively Jason Alexander, A.J. Blubaugh, and Spencer Arrighetti coming back from injury, what are your expectations for that series?
Not high. Hoping to get 1.
And we got 2, and we get to play tomorrow. And Spencer Arrighetti may blow the bit, and it may be what Lance Zierlein used to call a soft sweep, is what he called those, where you win the first 2 and then just kind of surrender the last one. But if he comes back hot, sweeping the fish does feel a whole lot better after what happened in Boston.
Yeah, that was frustrating because the first game, he had all the hype after the Correa trade. He put some great swings on the baseball just to the deepest part of the yard, and Altuve runs the base. For a Hall of Famer, he's probably going to be, when it's all said and done, the worst base runner in the Hall of Fame. Like, I don't know of any Hall of Famers that run into more outs than fucking Jose Altuve does. And the rest of the team follows his leadership and runs into outs as well. So you lose that fucking game. Game 2, you just got worked. Game 3 was never fucking close. I mean, it was.
Well, game 2, you had 20 hits and walks. You leave 14 runners on base. You score 3 runs. I don't know how that happens. And 2 of them were on a 2-run bomb from Walker. So, I mean, you're just that killed me. Now, the worst base running one to me was Cam Smith. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Like, I mean, you could sit there and see the guys catching the ball, and then you lurch and go towards second. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there was some of it was inexcusable. So, Jesus Sanchez, where he's trying to like stretch from like first to third, but it's just like, what are you doing?
I heard that was a third base coach. And so that one's even worse, based on, what kind of judgment are you exercising there as the coach? But yeah, Cam Smith reminded me, did you ever watch the movie 8 Men Out?
Of course.
Remember like when Chick Gandil, got caught on the bases where he just kind of like, I don't know. And I was like, is Cam Smith doing his Chick Gandil? Is there a prop bet, going on?
You've got to be investigated.
Oh man,
that was not something that anybody should ever watch and show kids on how to run bases, because that was fucking terrible. That was some of the worst base running I've ever seen in a 3-game stretch. Like, it was just consistently bad for 3 straight days.
What I can't say is, taking a look big picture and you look at the standings. So basically, you've got 6 teams make the playoffs, right, Tim? You got 7 good teams in the American League. You've got obviously the Astros, the Mariners, and the Rangers. In the West, you've got the Tigers in the Central, and you got the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays in the East. So one of those 7 teams does not make the playoffs. So if you had to look at it today, like a handicap it, who do you think is on the outside looking at?
Red Sox. It's such a young team. They didn't really do much at the deadline to kind of solidify. Like, yeah, the Astros did just get worked up there. I'll own that one. But like, that was just, I think that was a freak series. I really do. I don't know. I do think the Yankees and Blue Jays both probably make it. I think the Rangers are hot. They made some smart moves at the deadline. Do they have the pitching? It's really the question. But some of their young guys aren't bad at all, man. And
Merrill Kelly is a nice pickup.
Yeah, Merrill Kelly. They made smart moves. They got Maytong. Al Leiter's a stud. They still have now they have a healthy Jake DeGrom. They've got Nathan Eovaldi. Like, if everybody stays healthy, the Rangers are pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because to me, the Yankees did some stuff.
Yankees did a lot of stuff.
They did a lot of stuff, but you got Aaron Judge on the shelf for how long? I don't know. I mean, outside of Aaron Judge, who's the stud on that team? Are you going to go Cody Bellinger?
Giancarlo Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton, until he, gets a hangnail and, misses another 2 months. Jazz Chisholm and his great home run derby performance. You want to go there? So, and hey, you want to talk about another pitcher's available? Got any interest in Marcus Stroman?
No, it's fucking 6.5 ERA.
So it's going to be an interesting last 6-7 weeks.
It is. It's going to be a dogfight down the stretch. Detroit's really the only one from the Central, so they're pretty much locked into that division winner seed, right? They're not going to be challenging for a wild card.
Kansas City oddly bought at the deadline.
That was weird, but they bought with like long term. They didn't rent, right? They bought players with control.
Is Yaz controllable, or is he going to be a free agent?
I'm pretty sure he's controllable.
So, I mean, that's a team that is just so their outfield turned into shit really quickly.
It did. So, I mean, I don't know. The Tigers maybe unchallenged, and the Twins. I mean, the Royals chased them down. I don't know, but the Twins sold everything they owned that wasn't tied down. The Indians just don't seem to have it this year, and
certainly not the White Sox.
Not the White Sox, right? So unless the Royals pull a magic rabbit out their ass, the Tigers pretty much have that division locked up.
Yeah, the Tigers are going to have to come back to them, and so if they did come back to them, you would still probably get one team out of the Central.
Agreed. So I think it's probably. You're probably going to get two out of two. It's going to be 2 out of either the East or the West,
and 3 in the other one.
Yeah, I think the third best team in the West is probably built better than the third best team in the East. I think the Mariners made the moves that everybody said they should make, right? Like they went and got Eugenio Suarez. The Josh Naylor was a good move. But it just never seems to come together for them. So I'm also, on paper, the Mariners should be a real strong team going forward. And I don't want to say that they're not going to be. It just seems to me that, like, for some reason or another, everything falls apart every year for that ball club. And, who's to say this is not another year where it will fall apart for them?
Yeah, I think what I like about the Astros in the finish is, on top of getting all those pitchers back, I remember going into the All-Star break, we had, I think, the best or second, or depending on how you want to phrase it, the winning percentage against us was the first or second most favorable in all of baseball. And we've played some pretty good teams here out of the break. So eventually we got to run up against some crappy teams.
Yeah, bring on the White Sox, man.
No, I don't want. They've beaten us 4 games this year.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But no, you're right. Right, like the strength of schedule down the stretch favors the Astros. But again, I love the moves we made. If the price was too high to pay on the arms, I get it. You can play the release game, the DFA game, and see who comes out of that. If not, like, you've got to mix and match bullpen. You've got probably one of the best 8th, 9th inning combos in baseball. Mix and match from there. You're going to have a plethora of starters. In a playoff scenario, you really only need 3 or 4. So some guys are going to the bullpen either way.
Yeah, and I like the idea of picking up Preston. I do.
Let's talk a little Texans training camp. CJ Stroud has it. I don't know if it's the defense or he's trying new things with his offense. Has it quite been a sharp, Scott?
Yeah, I know. He threw 2 interceptions today, both to Kamari Laster, who people who watched said was the single best player on the field. And so that's obviously got to be encouraging when you have the highest paid corner in football on the other side. And then you got people saying Kamari Laster is the best guy on the field. This secondary is just going to be is going to wreck shop. Is absolutely going to wreck shop. I think, we're not going to know until we play Minnesota, and even then, you're not going to know because teams play just a vanilla offense in the preseason games. I'm going to be interested to see if this offensive line can get any kind of push in a running game against teams other than the Texans.
I will as well. I think it's number one. I do think it's a little bit unfair the way we look at some of these practice reps as fans, right? Like you said, CJ threw 2 picks today. We have no idea the context. We have no idea just the defense, or like, is it a, hey, run this play again, and the defense knows exactly what's happening, right? Like, this is just like all we know is 2 times CJ threw a pick. We don't know anything around the play call, the situation, anything like that, number one. Number two, we are projecting, and I'll talk more about that, but we're projecting as a fan base and as a group of NFL media elite, we're projecting the Texans defense to be one of the best in the league. We're looking at the secondary as a fan base going, this could be one of the best secondaries of all time if they play the way that we think they're capable of playing. So is it really fair that in practice where CJ's maybe trying to force something or trying to work on something to say like, oh, he got picked off twice today by guys who could go down as a legendary group, such as, like the Legion of Boom was, or the Ravens secondary, or the Bears, 85 Bears team, right? Like there's certain defenses that go down in history because they're so fucking dominant. Do you think Jig McMahon got hit for getting sacked at the 85 Bears practice? Because I don't think so.
Well, one of the questions you got, and this is where, a coaching question. Do you at some point go with the number 1 offense against the number 2 defense? Just to sit there and say, hey, let's see if the offense can have a little bit of success. They can feel good about themselves, because we can sit there and we can say all these things, but those are the guys that got to go out there every day, and they're the guys going out there every day. And apparently things got a little chippy today with a couple of fights because the offense is tired of getting their ass kicked. But they're getting their ass kicked on a daily basis. You got to wonder at what point that kind of fucks up your confidence.
I agree with you on that. I definitely think getting good reps at this point is more important, right? I think the mentality of this football team is defensive first. You've got a defensive head coach. You've got the swarm mentality. You've got aggressive defensive players. Like, this is a defensive ball club that theoretically should run the ball a fair amount, hit heavy play action, protect the ball, don't turn it over, because your defense isn't going to cost you a game. Like, that's the way I would call this thing if I'm DeMeco Ryans. So, yeah, like at some point, if you want to let your offense get some good quality reps, you might have to come against that second team.
Well, and if you want to look at, who Nick Caley comes from, I mean, he's a New England first guy. Those first few Tom Brady teams were that kind. I mean, you've referenced that team, that went undefeated, and that's when, he had, maybe the greatest season, ever, offensively. But those very first couple of Super Bowls were very heavy. We're going to run, short pass. We're going to take care of the football, and our defense is going to take it home.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick was a defensive specialist, right? Like a mastermind of calling defensive plays and building defenses and shutting guys down. And you get this guy, Tom Brady, who you knew wasn't going to turn the football over, was going to give his offense a chance, and was just a competitor, refused to lose. So, I mean, also Jabbar Gaffney was their number 1 wide receiver at, some point early in Tom Brady's career before they went and signed Randy Moss. So, yeah, the team was built differently, but this team has weapons, right? Like, this team is really, really, or should be at least, really balanced on offense. You've got a full Swiss Army knife of wide receivers that can do a litany of things for you. You've got good tight ends. You've got a plethora of running backs. It's just the same question that you had going into last year that we still don't truly have an answer to is this offensive line good enough?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to see some football against, another team. Because that's going to, to me, Minnesota is probably what you think an average defense.
I think a good defense.
Yeah, but probably not quite as good as the Texans. So
No, I do think the Texans are a better defense, but Brian Flores is a
yeah,
heck
that's
of a
true.
coordinator, calls
That's
a good defensive scheme. That team kicked our fucking ass up and down the field for 4 quarters when we went up there last year.
That's true. That's true. And so I would like to see, against a defense that's not quite as good as the Texans, I want to see if this offense can experience any success.
I think it'll have more success. And again, our defense obviously knows our offense pretty well. They see him a lot, right? So there's cues that you can pick up on. There's only one Will Hunter in the league, and he happens to be on the Texans. So it can't be tougher, but it should be a good test. It should be a quick glimpse. I don't want to see too much of CJ. I don't want to see too much of really anybody that matters. But get him in, let him have a series, get him out. I am encouraged. I want to see how we use CJ Gardner-Johnson because the word around practice is spectacular. Even D'Amico Ryans' son, who apparently just like soaks in film with dad, is just telling everybody about CJ Gardner-Johnson and just how much of a ball hawk this guy's going to be, how much of a playmaker he's going to be. You forget we lost, before we lost Petrie last year, this defense was even better than it was at the end. Now you get Petrie back. You've got Gardner-Johnson. This thing's just, I'm so fucking excited to see this defense play. As much as you want to see the offense against another team, right? Like I can't wait to see what we do on defense against another offense.
Yeah. But the problem is that you're not going to get those complex blitz packages. You're not going to get any razzle dazzle. So, I mean, to me, this is going to have to be like a week one, both for the offense and defense, where we finally see, Nick Haley.
We are going to see, you've got Jordan Addison and you've got Justin Jefferson from Minnesota. I get to see Lassiter and Stingley lock up 2 guys at least for, that'll be, hey, you've got a rookie quarterback, not a rookie, but, first-time starter and McCarthy. Let's fucking rattle some skulls. Let's rattle some psyches, and let's shut the best receiver in the league down for a drive, and then have some Gatorade and get some pom poms on the sideline.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Tim.
Let's give some awards away, Scott. I think it's about that time. You got your boxing gloves on?
I do.
Why don't you get us started with the old Pow right in the kisser? The
Pow right in the kisser. This is kind of a minor irritant award. So I'm going to preface this by saying that SB Nation has been a good company for me, and my writing. They pay me more regularly than anybody's ever paid me to write. However, I always hate whenever you do like we did this in school last year, where we did a software switch. All, we switched, the teachers did, special ed did. We're all switching software systems all at the same time. And it's like, can't we space this stuff out? Can we get a little bit, but SB Nation is switching over to WordPress. And so if y'all don't see any pieces from me over the next, few days, it's probably because I haven't figured out how to log on. So it's a little bit irritating. As I was telling the guys behind the scenes, I'm going to have to take a few pops before, I could probably, sit down and try and figure it out.
Hey, a little tough guy soda typically takes the edge off of things. And Scott, if we have to hop on a screen share as I help you walk through the login process, I might have to help you do that. It's like my parents call me. Every time I come visit, I literally will not touch any of my parents' Wi-Fi shit ever. But literally, like on cue every time when I get home, it's the Wi-Fi's not working. What did you do? We need you to fix this. Like, I don't even know you keep your fucking router, but okay, let's dig in. I would like to give a good pow to whoever the person in charge of booking special events at Oak Hollow golf courses. I have a membership at what is a fun well affordable golf course. I love the course. I've been a member for almost 4 years now. Let me ask you a question, Scott. If you're a working man who has a golf membership, what days are you typically trying to get out there?
Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm. It's a great answer because it's the truth. So let me go through 2 weeks ago, or last week rather. Course was closed Saturday and Sunday for a tournament. They're open back up this week. I get out on Sunday. Next week they're closed on Sunday for a junior tournament, and the week after that they're closed on Sunday for a scramble. No anything offered to membership, anything like that, for the fact that like the course has been closed for majority of the time that you have available to play it. No real notice to even let you know. You just can't get out there. And that's after the fact that they have 7 a.m. through 9 a.m. blocked off for groups that play on Saturday and Sunday mornings. So if you're a member of this golf club and you're not a member of the group, you can only play after 9 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the summer on Sundays and Saturdays. Except you can't because there's a fucking tournament 3 of the 4 Sundays. Like, what are we doing? Like, I pay a price to be able to play golf when I want to play golf. You do that shit on Monday or Tuesday. Like, everybody knows scrambles happen during the week. You don't book tournaments during the weekend. And if it's for the kids, every HJ event I played was a weekday event. I never got a course on a Sunday. We played Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So high school events during the week. So I'm all for like let the kids play golf and get them on the course, whatever. But you do it during the week. Like, you don't take the course away from the members on the highest traffic days. Like, I'm fucking livid right now. The fact that like the solution they say is find somewhere else to play for 2 weeks. Like, I already pay you to be able to play here. I pay in advance so that way I can book my tee time and all those other things in advance that come with being a member. Little, hello, Mr. Costello, how are you? A little butt patting. I'm not gonna lie. I don't get it, but I want it. But I don't even get the ability to play on fucking every Sunday because we're booking tournaments on Sundays.
I don't know. Bring some news here to you, Tim. There was a purchase down here in your neck of the woods. Bay Oaks has purchased Mad Creek. Or at least the company that runs Bay Oaks has purchased Mad Creek.
I thought they're both club core clubs.
Whatever the case is, Bay Oaks has been shut down for 3 weeks for maintenance. And so the members are going over to Mad Creek.
I'm pretty sure they're both club core invited or whatever they are. But they're now probably combining it into one club because Mad Creek has no dining facility. Like, I think Mad Creek's a ripoff for what they charge, right? Like, to pay $15,000 to pay that much money as an initiation fee for a quote unquote country club that has no pool, no tennis court, minimal dining options, right? Like, they have a little restaurant area, but like a country club should have a dining. Like, South Shore has a dining room, right? Like, then at one point they combined South Shore and Mad Creek's membership, but they sold South Shore off. So now they're probably combining Bay Oaks and Mad Creek because there got to be hemorrhaging members if you're a Mad Creek member. There's no point. There's no fucking point in paying that money to play Mad Creek. I'm sorry. I love Magnolia Creek Golf Course, but making it private, it was built as a public course. You can't take a course like that has no amenities whatsoever and charge full country club prices.
Well, I tell you my story. So I got a call from a guy from Mad Creek. This is maybe about 2 years ago now. And they're like, hey, we're doing a break on initiation fees. We're doing a break on monthly dues. So the initiation fee was like $3,000. Was down to $3,000. And their monthly dues was going to be like $200 a month or something like that. And I was like, well, maybe. They're like, hey, why don't you come out, play a free round of golf? You see if you like it. Course is in impeccable shape. Absolutely fantastic shape. But part of it that I probably didn't tell you is I got into the pro shop. And so they're asking me, and it's like, so how was your round? Did you like? And I said, love the course. And this other member is coming in and says, He said right in front of the pros, it says, if I were you, I wouldn't join here. Man, that's way too expensive for what we're getting. And I was like, yeah, unfortunately, I got a kid about to go to college. Really can't swing that. But great course, great conditions. But yeah,
Again, right? Like, give me what I'm paying for. Like, if you combine it with Bay Oaks, and now I can go eat at the Bay Oaks Club, and I can hang out at the pool and all that other stuff. Like, okay, that's fair. But to just like again, like you and I played Magnolia Creek when it was a public course. You could still get a membership out there and pay monthly for your rounds, but it was public. Why would I pay thousands of dollars more for the exact same thing? There's no benefit of making that a private golf course. Like, the course was in immaculate shape back then. The Magnolia Creek's always been in exceptional condition. It's never been not taken care of.
yeah. All right. So moving on to something a little bit more severe.
Horse's ass, huh?
The horse's ass. I am going to go with the Astros training and medical staff because they are doing it fucking again. So I'm looking on there and they tell me, the reports are Isaac Paredes has a torn hamstring, going to be out 6 or 7 months. And I'm like, you know what? That's great. Let's go ahead, get the surgery, get this thing fixed. Let's get the clock ticking on that 6 or 7 months. And let's get back when it comes time for February. We're going to be 100% healthy, ready to go. Let's do this. Maybe by then we can, fire the training staff and medical staff, hire a new training and medical staff. And, but what did I see in the news? Well, maybe I'll try and let it heal naturally and I can come back in late September, early October. I can see this story before it ends, Tim. He's going to try to come back, maybe the last series of the regular season. Maybe he comes back pure in the playoffs. He's going to hit maybe a liner down the left field line. He's going to try and stretch it into a double. What's going to happen, Tim?
It's going to tear. It's going to pop.
It's going to tear, and they're going to be like, well, shit, we need 6 months. So counting 6 months from October, Tim, November, December, January, February, March, April. Oh shit! Now our third, second baseman, first baseman going to be coming back in May instead of coming back in the beginning of the year.
No, I think that's absolutely on par. And my concern is not even. I'm more concerned he won't even get to the point that you mentioned. Right, like Yordan Alvarez has not even made it back, and he's re-injured himself 3 times trying to ramp it back up. So my main concern, he's going to go through all this for nothing, trying to ramp it up, and still have to end up getting the surgery. And listen, like at some point, you've got to be the adult in the room, and I get Isaac Paredes has not had a ton of playoff experience, and he's really excited to be a part of a team that theoretically has World Series aspirations, and he wants to contribute. And like, I appreciate all that, right? As a fan, I love it. As a fan, I love that he's wanting to put himself on the line to come back and play. Absolutely love it. But again, someone's got to be the adult in the room and say, look, man, no, you can't. We have you as a cornerstone piece for the next however long, and that involves you being healthy. Let's just take care of it this year. Let's let it be a 1-year deal, and then come back healthy and strong and rehab all off season, and you're ready to go next year, right? Like someone, like when your parents, Scott, your kid has come up to you with some stupid fucking ideas before. I'm sure they've had some harebrained plans that they thought out that they think's a great idea, and you've had to be the parent in the room and say, you know what? No, we're not doing that. We're not getting a gerbil, okay? We don't want a rodent in the fucking house. That's not happening. No, we're not getting a hamster, right? Like some point, you got to be the parent in the room.
I never had the gerbil or hamster problem.
I shut that. I don't want a fucking rodent in my house.
Yeah, I gotcha. But no, I mean, this is not Roy Hobbs lying in a hospital bed going like, "Oh, I'm just gonna come back for one game, just gonna win the pennant, and then then I'll hang him up." I mean, this is a guy that's got his whole career in front of him, and if there were nothing else that's happened this year, nothing else. If Jordan were like completely 100% healthy, or they had handled the hand situation correctly from the get-go, and they were going to push this, I'd be like, okay, maybe it could work. But we've seen it not work. How many different times? Not only Jordan, but Lance has had that issue, crop up where he starts to ramp up and then all of a sudden has to shut that crap down. Luis Garcia has had to, Jake Myers. It's just,
you throw Rogers in there, fucking one AAA game before he's back down. Freak accident, but still.
That was a freak accident, but still, I mean, come on, guys. We know how this is going to end.
And what's frustrating is Dana Brown has talked about having a new, get back procedure, right? More imaging, all this other stuff, having a different plan for getting guys back. But then, like, the moment there's a chance to be like, but it's just it's just that fucking whipping the wheel hard and it's fishtailing and going back the other direction, even though, like, you were heading in a good one.
Yeah.
It's like The Godfather when they're going over the bridge, like they're on the way to that restaurant where Michael's going to whack those guys, and to make sure that they're not followed, they fucking do the quick hard U-beat on the bridge and come back through. And, yeah, that's basically the process of thought on the Astros get back policy.
Yeah. All right, who you got, Tim?
I don't know if you watched a lot of the coverage of, like, the trade deadline and whatnot, but after the Astros got Correa back, I was like, I want to watch it all. I wanted to soak it all in. I wanted to see, everything, right? I was so amped. I was high on the moment. And MLB Network had like this solid 10-minute segment on it. And a guy that I normally have a lot of respect for, former player Harold Reynolds, had some really stupid comments about the trade, basically consisting of he knows Carlos Correa and he knows he's an alpha male, and he thinks at some point there's going to be some problems between him and Jeremy Pena over who gets to be the shortstop and who's playing third base. And he wonders what this will do for the chemistry of the team going forward. Literally what he said, right? And this is like literally Carlos Correa said he's looking forward to playing third. It'll be better on his body, all this other stuff. But Harold Reynolds is like staking his claim to the idea that this is going to cause chemistry issues. And it's so frustrating because you're just making it up. You're literally absolutely just making up pure speculation about a guy who's never had chemistry issues anywhere he's gone. He's been the ultimate teammate everywhere he's gone. He went to Jeremy Pena in his last year of his deal and said, look, I might not be here next year. Let me help you get ready to be a starting shortstop in Major League Baseball next year. He then trains with Jeremy Pena every offseason. So they are, well acquainted, good friends with each other. So again, you're just making up a lie because you didn't have a full 10 minutes. I don't know why, right? Like, I don't know where any of the basis for this comes from, because it's not based in reality. This is not a legitimate argument that you can actually have, because all the facts are against your, it's like when the facts on your side, lay on the facts. When the emotion's on your side, lean into the emotion. When neither of those things are on your side, bang the table loudly and wave your arms in the air. And that's basically what he did, right? The facts were Carlos just said he wants to play third. He's looking forward to it. The emotional aspect is, he's going home. And, logic aspect, whatever you want to say, he's coming back to Houston where he's played his best baseball. He's making a position change that should be easier on his body. Okay, that's not on my side. I'm going to bang on the table and wave my arms in the air. That's all I got, guys.
All right. Well, I'm going to say this, Tim. One person in this conversation has respect for Harold Reynolds, and you're the one.
I used to like him on ESPN Baseball Tonight when I was a kid.
I've never liked him. He's one of those guys that played baseball without a helmet, and maybe got hit in the head a few times too many. He's been one of those guys that's kind of been anti-stat. And so, and I don't have patience for guys like that. Joe Morgan was another one where it's like, dude, your whole career was that you drew walks and you hate people that draw walks. It's like, you're killing me. But here's the thing that kills me about this is that there is plenty to criticize about this trade. Carlos Correa has not been a healthy baseball player. Really easily since 2019, he has missed time in multiple seasons. So it's easy to sit there and say, I can't believe the Astros are taking on this contract when you have a guy that struggles to be healthy. Now, as you pointed out, a position change might lead to more health. That would be the counterpoint, but at least steer into some facts that he has missed time, and that's a concern that the Astros should have. That would take up 10 minutes. You could even show up a graphic. Here's the times where he's been on the disabled list, since 2019. I mean, you could fire that up. I'm sure a producer could find that. That would be the only possible concern I would have about Carlos Correa. As a baseball player, as a human being, I don't have any concern. The only concern I have is his body going to hold up? That is the only concern I have.
Agreed. I and that's why I was so pissed. Like, you have nothing to stand on with this argument, but yeah, you got on national television and just besmirched the man's good name. But that's the world we live in nowadays. Let's tip a cap, Scott. Who do you have for us this week as your hot tip?
I've got a twin hat tip here to one Jason Alexander and AJ Bluebaugh. Because as we said earlier in the series, this series, and this is where I think, I keep bringing this up, but you can look at numbers over a full baseball season, and a lot of it can fool you because Jason Alexander's overall numbers still don't look good. I mean, his ERA's got to be, about 6? But the son of a bitch threw 6 scoreless innings. Looked pretty damn good to me until Brian Keane came in and gave up that shutout. And then AJ Bluebaugh today, fresh off the plane, 5 innings, 2 runs. I mean, that's not going to send you to Cooperstown, but I think if you look at this team and this team makes the playoffs, you're going to look at games like these as, key parts of why this team's making the playoffs. Because you lose these 2 games, they go out there and blow the bit. You've lost 5 in a row. You've got, you've got Spencer Arrighetti coming off the DL for Game 6. You're about to go to the Yankees. This season could have gone south real quick and real fast. But they have come through, and I don't know if they're going to come through ever again. But whenever you have a playoff team and playoff season, or, knock on wood, keep our fingers crossed, a World Series team, it's going to be games like this you look back on and go like, thank God that guy came through during that game.
Absolutely, right? Like, baseball is a game of highs and lows, peaks and valleys. Guys go through moments of success and moments of failure, and that's why it's such a great game. And the great ones have more moments of success than failure. But every baseball player is going to have times where they're good. That's what it's all about. And, the Astros have been fortunate that some of these guys they've called upon have had their moments of success or moments of triumph in some big situations, right? Like, their peaks as players have kind of come when they've been needed or when they've been called upon, whether you're a Zach Short with a, walk-off knocks, or Hummel with some big hits, or Trammell with some extended run in the outfield, produced for a period of time, kind of coming back to earth now here lately. But, he gave you a good 2 weeks, right? Like, that's what he was capable of. His high was, 740, 750 OPS for a couple weeks, and now he's coming back to earth. But, I am appreciative that these guys were able to come in and at least know who they were enough to just like, hey, I'm going to keep doing the things I do well, and at some point it's going to turn, and I'll be successful at least for enough time to help this ball club.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that makes it my turn.
Yep.
I am going to tip my cap to one Jim Crane. He's been called cheap. He's been said he's, refuses to sign guys to long term. I've come on this podcast and complained when we lost Correa, when we lost Bregman, when we let guys walk who I felt should be cornerstones of this franchise, who should have statues out front the way Biggio and Bagwell do. The son of a bitch did it, right? Like, he went back and he brought Carlos Correa back. And as you mentioned earlier in the show, it was really a Jim Crane decision. Owner to owner, he reached out and he said, hey, I'm willing to cover this much. Let's get it done. And so, for that, I have to tip my cap to Jim. I think he deserves it, especially after some of the besmudgery that has happened on the way some of these free agents have left and over some of the negotiations and his strict policy on not wanting to go more than 6 years. And I think every single one of those has been correct. Maybe Kyle Tucker will be the one that's wrong. But up to this point, like, Jim has been right on every one of these hard stances he's taken on a long-term contract. So I am going to tip my cap to Jim Crane for getting Carlos Correa back in the Astros uniform where he belongs.
Not only that, Tim, but I think what I've really liked about him and his approach is that, yeah, he doesn't want to do the long-term deal, but that doesn't mean he's afraid of spending money. To me, Christian Walker, whether you thought that was a good deal or not, he went out there and got a guy that, most of baseball considered a top 5 first baseman. Even if you want to go back to the Jose Abreu deal, we liked it at the time. You and I did. We can't deny that. Now, obviously, the Rafael Montero deal, nobody liked that at the time. But he still is willing to spend the money. And if you go back to the owners who are in Cooperstown or maybe should be, all of them, the one thing they have in common is that they're always trying to win. They may not make the smartest move in the world. They don't always make the smartest move in the world. George Steinbrenner, being a Yankees fan in the 80s and early 90s, you wanted to pull your hair out. Because of all the stupid stuff he was doing, hiring managers, firing managers, getting free agents, But the point is that you had no doubt what George Steinbrenner's goal is. And you have no doubt what Jim Crane's goal is. There can be no denying what he's after. But does he make the smartest move all the time? No. But you put any of us in his shoes, we wouldn't do the smart thing every time either.
Honest question. I don't think he will make it into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think as an owner, it's really, really hard to do, and you've got to affect the game in a certain way, right? Like to make it in as an owner, besides just like having a winning team for a long period of time. But I do think there's a strong consideration. Jim Crane should be in the Houston Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I have no problem.
I think that's one that realistically, no owner. I don't think you could say any owner. Maybe you could argue the Rockets with Les, but like, has any owner been better than Jim?
No. And Leslie Alexander obviously got off to a good start because he won those titles in those first 2 years of his ownership. So you could even claim those are Cal Thomas's teams and not really his teams. Obviously, Bob McNair bringing football back to Houston, maybe that rates as a bigger thing. But Jim Crane put Houston baseball on the map. This was a middling franchise under Drayton McClain. So, I'm absolutely on board with that.
Yeah, I think the whole city owes Jim a debt of gratitude. Not only the Astros, he saved our golf tournament too, right? Like, let's not forget that the Shell Houston Open was going away until Jim Crane stepped in, renovated Memorial Park golf course to have a public facility that they could play a PGA Tour event at, and kept the golf tour in Houston because of just the rich golf history that we have as a city. So not enough people talk about that with Jimmy Boy.
Absolutely.
All right, Scott, enough niceness, enough niceties. Who do you have this week as our scumbag of the week?
I'm gonna be behave, and I'm gonna go with the sports world instead of going with the political world. I'm gonna go with one Christopher Mad Dog Russo. So I was just listening because it's one of the stations I have on XM because I like it. I like Mad Dog Radio more than your ESPNs because I think it's a more pure sports opinion. I mean, they're not obviously pandering. But I turned it on and I just happened to hear him say like, I can't believe that Bryce Harper was so bad and so mean to him to kick him out of the dugout and the locker room. Oh my God. And okay, if he had stopped there, I'd been like, okay, I can respect, that opinion. I disagree with it, but I can respect it. And that maybe Bryce Harper should have been more polite. Okay. Okay. But here's where he went, though. Because he's been such a great commissioner. It's like, what in the fuck are you talking about, dude? What are you watching? Because here's the thing. Let's just take an easy microcosm here. Let's look at the sign cheating scandal. Are Astros fans happy, Tim?
No.
Why not?
Because we were scapegoated for something that all of Major League Baseball was doing, and any real baseball fan, whether they want to admit it or not, knows that. They just allowed the Astros to be the one team that was doing something wrong while the rest of baseball just points and says they're cheaters.
Okay. If you were a fan of all the other 29 fan bases, are you happy?
No, because you think the Astros got away with cheating and didn't get punished properly.
So how do you make a decision where all 30 fan bases think you're full of shit and an idiot? How do you pull that off? I mean, that takes special talent.
Not everybody can do it.
You could have, and let's look at what he could have done. He could have taken the Mike Fiers report and he could have just said like, well, we looked into it, but we didn't find anything and just swept it under the rug, right? He could have done that. He could have sat there and said, oh, maybe Mike Fiers is onto something. Maybe we should do a league-wide investigation and see how many teams are doing this. He could have done that. But what does he do? And this is what pissed off the fans. I'm going to offer every current Astro blanket immunity for them to tell me what happened. And then here's the one that kicks me, and I kind of teased this earlier. Whenever Hector Neris did his little balk, and they're like, yeah, he's complaining about cheating. I'm like, Boston, you can.
Alex Correa is your fucking manager.
Okay, he was suspended for a year. All right, Boston, go over there. Fuck off over there. And when you get over there, just keep fucking off. Keep fucking no. Get over there. Keep fucking
off.
Also,
Boston got caught cheating for sign stealing and using Apple Watches to send signals instead of banging a trash can.
And 2018 afterwards, and then my favorite, and here's another one from your, I used to call Bud Selig Backwoods Dipshit Bud. That used to be my nickname for him. I might, use that nickname for Rob Manfred, Backwoods Dipshit Manfred. Because, here's what he did. Here's the report. Alex Correa, who, according to his own report on the Astros, he said in his report on the Red Sox, he didn't know anything about their cheating. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, it was all the videotape room guy. And we're just going to fire him and fixed. What? I mean, come on, dude. I mean, you expect me to buy that shit? Alex Correa, according to you, was one of the masterminds in Houston, goes to Boston, and then in 2018, all of a sudden, Boston's a fucking juggernaut. Mookie Betts is going from, a really good player to, probably the best player in the last 100 years. Shit, I wonder how that happened. He hasn't been that player since. Huh? Weird. I mean, you got the same thing going on in LA where, Cody Bellinger in 2019 is like, looks like the second coming of fucking Mickey Mantle. And then since 2020, well, he's come back and he's a fairly player. He's a fairly decent player, but he's never been that guy again. Shit. I wonder what was going on. I can't. I'm backwoods dipshit Manfred.
Well, that doesn't include the fact that Sports Illustrated wrote an article in 2018 about questionable cameras being installed in Dodger Stadium that had absolutely nothing to do with the broadcast and put it directly at the catchers. But again, just a national publication. You don't need to fucking worry about that.
I can't see anything. I'm Rob Manfred. I can't.
Astros the only ones.
And that's the guy who's done a great fucking job. And to me, you can look at, decisions like the pitch clock. Okay. I would say that's at least mixed because, yes, the time of the games is shorter, but all of a sudden Tommy Johns have gone up. I wonder if there's anything, if one has anything to do with the other. I don't know. Then you have, let's see, the other rules changes. Let's see, you've got, I can only pitch to 3 hitters. We're going to take away the shift. And so I have said this about Rob Manfred for time immemorial. The number one qualification for being the commissioner of a sport is that you have to love that sport. And I don't think Rob Manfred loves baseball. I just don't. Everything we hear is what's wrong with baseball. And we're doing the same thing when we're talking about, salary caps. We're talking about the money. We got a year out before we got to play a whole 2026 season before that thing is going to, come up. And all we're hearing about is economic strife in the sport. All we're hearing about is 2 guys are getting caught gambling or getting caught in a gambling sting, when I have no problem with setting up, a deal with FanDuel, a deal with DraftKings, a deal with Prize Picks or any of those other sites, with MGM, Bet, MGM Grand, whatever. I realize you're talking about billions of dollars there, especially over a multi-year period. And so I'm not telling you that you got to turn that money down, but whenever you introduce gambling into the sport, maybe we should think about, putting some safeguards in place that could keep guys like your Guardians pitchers from manipulating the system. It's just like when you put a damn, TV in the dugout and you're allowing, players to see the game live on TV. Don't you think, maybe they might steal signs? Well, that thought never occurred to me. And it's like, so as I was telling them, Tim, I brought up the gambling situation that we have with the Guardians. I brought up, the fact that we're putting TV, monitors in the dugouts and we're watching the games live. Every time these things have happened, easily foreseeable issues crop up. Because how easy is it to sit there and say, oh, I'm just going to throw a ball at the first pitch. I'm going to manipulate the market. How much is that going to really impact the game? No, it doesn't impact the game that much. Okay, fine. Here we go. Until, Garcia, the dumbass, what happens with him is that he throws a purposeful ball that the hitter swings at, and he's getting all pissed on the mound because the guy swung. And it's like, I think you're giving yourself away. But the point is that the commissioner of baseball, whenever you make these billion-dollar decisions, whenever you make these millions of dollars decisions, at some point it needs to enter in your head, geez, couldn't somebody manipulate this? Shouldn't we put some safeguards in place? Wasn't that what a smart GM would do? And I don't have all the answers, but if you put a bunch of smart people in a room, which I think the commissioner has access to, I could come up with solutions. Why not sit there and say, like, okay, if you want to gamble on sports, you're going to have an app on your phone that's going to have Major League Baseball blocked out. You can bet on every other sport. And if we catch you betting on anything other than on this app, you're out. What if you sat there and said you could only bet $100 each transaction limit? What happens if you were to sit there and go to Vegas and you're going to sit there and say, this prop bet about a ball or strike on the first pitch, knock that shit out. We don't need a prop bet on the first pitch of the game. These are all things that you could do, and Vegas and the betting world would gladly do them because they want a foot in your door, because they want to be able to access, all these fans who can legally bet on the things you allow them to bet on. So, this easily manipulated stuff on the first pitch of the game, don't even allow it. But see, that stuff never occurs to Manfred because he's a backwoods dipshit.
Yep, absolutely right. They want our money so bad from gambling, they would capitulate in any way they can as long as they can still take it, right? And it's frustrating. He's not a good commissioner at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. I've been a little bit of a gag order on my original scumbag, so I've had to pivot. I don't know if I can stay out of the fray the same way that you can, Scott, as you've chosen to not go there this week. I'm going to go there. And every Texas Republican is a giant fucking piece of shit. The entire state of Texas bends a knee to Donald Trump when he asks them to gerrymander our congressional map so he can get 5 extra Republican congressional seats. Then Texas Democrats do like the only thing they have available to them, which is leave the state so that way they don't have a quorum and they can't pass this thing. Then they issue a warrant, which not even there's really no law or basis for that. It's just a way for them to get on TV and use a soundbite. Then fucking John Cornyn, who is now in the middle of a primary effort with Ken Paxton, decides he needs to get into the fray and is publicly asking for the FBI to come in and round these fuckers up and get them back so we can steal an election. I don't know what to say other than they're all fucking scumbag pieces of shit. Backwoods don't even go there, right? Like these people are just fucking Nazis. They let's stop tippy-toeing around. Like, they're fucking Nazis. They are fascist fucks. I'm tired of this game. I don't like it anymore. I don't like my votes being taken from me. I don't like drawing the maps in fucked up ways that eliminate my ability to live a successful life. We've allowed the wealthiest people in this country to do whatever the fuck they want, and they're all so disillusioned from reality. Like, they don't understand human pain and suffering. They don't care. We're all just numbers on a spreadsheet. Like, you can let go of 500 workers and still get a fucking $4 million bonus at the end of the year because you saved your company money. These fucks are just, they're fucking with our lives, Scott, and I am just so over it. Like, the state of Texas at one point would have no problem telling the president of the United States to go fuck off. We'll do our own maps our way. But could you imagine if Obama had asked Greg Abbott to do this? He'd tell him to go fuck himself. Like, the president doesn't get to come in and say, please redraw your maps. But now he's going to every state and asking them to redraw their maps. So this fucking sucks, man.
Well, and I thank God the Democrats are finally fighting back. Because, not only the Democrats in Texas lead the state, but New York and California, the governors have both said, fuck it, we'll redraw ours. You take 5, we'll take back 10, 15. And I think Illinois is going to, maybe even do the same thing. So, if you want to take your 5, fuck it, we'll take 20. That's the way you got to do these people now. You can't write them a strongly worded letter. We can complain about them on a podcast, but that doesn't do any good. The only thing that a bully understands is getting fucking hit in the mouth. That's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a dangerous path for heading down, right? Like, if you want to, you could draw these maps to where like it's all Republican. You could do that if you wanted to, right? And so then the Democrats do all Democrat, and then it's just like, as Donald Trump said, you're not going to have a need to vote in the next election. That's basically where we're going, because they're just going to say these things have been gerrymandered too much. We're just going to get another Republican in here.
Yeah. All right,
So
Tim.
we're fucked. We're fucked. Hey guys, we're fucked.
Hey, I heard we have a key update.
Yeah, it's not a good one. So let's talk kangaroo exploration, Scott, because I should have predicted this. Okay, you and I both know when you've got a good idea, people are going to try and steal it, right? We knew we were onto something with kangaroo aquatic exploration. We knew it. That's why we brought it to the people, because that's just who we are. We want to share our success with others. But in doing so, we definitely opened ourselves up to some corporate espionage, right? We've seen the issues you've had with shit. We've seen some of the issues we've had with anal. And we're starting to realize there's a mole. There's a mole within our organization who is leaking proprietary information to someone, right? We're in the middle of an investigation. We've also called the FBI, right? Because, that's against the law. You can't do that. So, we're definitely getting to the bottom of this. We don't know what they have. We've noticed some of the kangaroos lately have been wearing glasses and mustaches. We thought it was like an office prank or whatever. Now I'm not so sure if not having security key cards was a good idea. Like, at first we were just like, hey, they're just kangaroos. Can they really handle security key cards? But, the reality is they can drive submarines. They should have been able to handle key cards. So now the odds are someone is training other kangaroos, sending them into our facility, getting our information, and then getting that information back out from the mole kangaroos.
We should not discount the possibility of multiple moles, Tim. I had a conversation with our head security guy, Billy Bob Joe Jumpback, and he was, we lost Slurpee. Slurpee, one of our key lab techs, is missing, and he said, he went on the hunt looking for Slurpee in town and saw what looked like Slurpee, but had the glasses and mustache. So he's like, it couldn't have been Slurpee. Slurpee hasn't grown a mustache. So I think somebody's gotten to Billy Bob. I don't think it's possible for anybody to be that stupid. Billy Bob Joe Jumpback is said, if he comes, to your company with a mysterious looking kangaroo, you're going to have to call the FBI. You're going to have to call, who was that agent that we talked to?
I think it was Saul, Agent Saul. You better call Saul if you hear anything.
Saul Goodman, right?
No, this was the last name was Agent Saul. I think I can't remember, but I should have said, hey, if anything happens, you should call Saul, Agent Saul.
Okay, so yeah, if you see Billy Bob Joe Jumpback and he's coming in with a mysterious kangaroo with a mustache and glasses, please give Saul a call. You can call us too. We can call Saul as well. But, that direct call, might get action a little bit faster.
But here's the thing. We are also launching our own internal investigation because as Scott mentions, we don't know if we can trust our own security department anymore. So what we're saying is we need more money. These things cost money. We mentioned the need for updating our security systems. We're going to need to hire probably like 6 eagles. Obviously, eagles are the best investigators in the animal world because they can circle around and get information and no one suspects it. And you're not allowed to fuck with eagles because they're America's birds, so no one's going to shoot it down. So
maybe a few owls for the night, for the nighttime. That might
for the nighttime. Yeah, we'll get, but we need these birds, and we need to be able to hire like 3 more security kangaroos to watch each of the, like, everyone's going to watch each other, right? Like, we're going to have a circle of watching to make sure nothing's happening. Like, John watches Jim, Jim watches Jack, Jack's watching John, right? Like, everybody's watching everybody.
And I'm sorry, you have to be a real piece of low life to bribe a kangaroo. I mean, that's the lowest of the low. But, these security measures, folks, they're not free.
No.
We need your help. And remember what our goal is. Our goal, we're finding Atlantis. And we're going to be able to take all those things from Atlantis. And, once we find those things, sell those things on the open market, I mean, just your return on your investment is going to be, I would say, 1,500-fold, easily.
I mean, those who got in on the cell phone gold mine, they're rolling in it, right? Like, we make the best cell phones on the market. They haven't sold them yet, but, like, we've made them. They're fantastic. We're still trying to find Atlantis, and we have some clues, but again, this is why a mole is such a big deal. We need to find it first. If another company using other animals gets down this first, this whole thing is for naught. Now, again, we've got the pockets in the front that the kangaroos have. Gives us a huge advantage because everybody else has to figure out where to put the artifacts once they get down there. That's why we chose kangaroos. But, I mean, still, at the end of the day, this information getting into the wrong hands, not good, right? Like, if Dr. Evil got his hands on this, we could be in trouble.
Absolutely.
All right, Scott. Well, that's going to do it for us. We appreciate everybody's investment in the organization. They're not donations because you are investing in a strong future of kangaroo exploration. But yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in this week. An exciting week. Astros are back on track. Carlos Correa is back home. Things are right in the world. Not really, though. The world fucking sucks right now.
All right, Tim.
We'll see everybody next time on Born on the Bayou Sports.